this is Mustang's Blue Guy as well back to another Forza Motorsport 6 video. Now, over the years, there have been, over Forza I should say, over Forza Motorsport 6, there have been many interesting vehicles, such as the BMW Isetta, or the front-flipping Fiesta, or the Fiat that wheelies, quite crazy. Well, out of all of these crazy vehicles that include the Fiat, the BMW, the Lancia Delta Jelly Car, the Mercedes-Benz racing truck, the Rolly VW bus, and the front-flipping Fiesta, which one would be victorious? Now, pretty much all of these cars are B-class or above. But that doesn't mean they can control their power. So they have a rival, which is this Cadillac CTS-V. And you're going to be racing around Lime Rock to see if we have a hope of beating this car. Now this car is a low B-class car. Everything else is pretty much A-class or above. The BMW is R-class. So I'm expecting quite a challenge. And this should be pretty fun, and there should be many of chaoses. Okay, the little Isetta was up first, and this vehicle is an R-class, or it has 700 horsepower. And it weighs like it weighs less than 1,500 pounds. And yet it still did an atrocious time of 117.734. Because of what you're seeing right now. The complete lack of control. The complete and utter lack of control. As almost every single lap, except the last lap, had every single lap had an off-track excursion. It's just crazy. This vehicle is completely undrivable. And that's why I like Forza, because they put these completely undrivable, they put these normal vehicles in. I say normal, has 13 horsepower, looks like that. And then you can put 700 horsepower in it. And it just makes it absolutely crazy. So that's why I do like these. And now it did have a slight speed advantage, however with the normal transmission, it did top out. So, yeah, this vehicle really struggled around Lime Rock as I never rolled it, but I did have two-wheel momentum pretty much every corner. So, yeah, the Isetta's time of 117.734, it was not very fast. Now, as you just saw from that very beginning, this is the wheelie Fiat. And this was, I would say, not as difficult to drive as the Isetta. However, that does not mean that it went faster than the Isetta, because it did not go faster than the Isetta. In fact, it went 5 seconds slower, almost. It did a 124.225. Yeah, it was not fast. Because the Isetta had a problem with rolling over, or wanting to roll over. This thing physically could not turn, because its front wheels were off of the ground. Because look at that. That is what I dealt with. You physically could not go full throttle. If you even bothered to go full throttle in first gear, you would not be able to, because you would just wheelie for days. And in fact, we had all four wheels off the ground there. Brakes were decent. Again, a very light vehicle. Had no real problems with wanting to roll over, but my gosh, was it difficult to drive. I mean, look at that wheelie. It's just so good at wheeling, you can't drive it fast because you have to do throttle control. And if you don't do throttle control at the beginning, you will wheelie and you will spin out. I only got one clean lap on this car. And that was at 124. That was the best lap that I got. So this vehicle is incredibly difficult to drive. And yeah, the this wheelie Fiat, could not go faster than a plain Cadillac CTS-V, which I find kind of surprising as I do another huge wheelie. Now, we may remember this vehicle from a while ago, quite a long time ago actually, where this is the rolly car that will, in the wet, will roll over on every corner you drive around. Now, although since it's in the dry, it won't roll over, however, it will go on two wheels on every corner. It'll go a long way on two wheels. It won't roll over, but it'll go on two wheels. And you may think, oh, that's much better. It's not that much better, because it'll skid. I skidded on so many corners that I went off the road. Yeah, it's B class, so it is a lot slower than the Cadillac in terms of top speed. It's the same class as it. It's not like R class or A class or something like that. It's the same class, B class. And it absolutely hated those chicanes. It absolutely hated those. And no matter what you did, you had to take a really wonky line through there, because it just went up on two wheels. And you couldn't do anything because it was such a sharp corner. Camera is where? There we go. But yeah, it did a 123.955. So it is faster than the Fiat, but it's still pretty undrivable. Still a very, very difficult vehicle to drive around a track. Also very slow too, 110 down that straightaway. Not very fast. So even the stock CTS-V is doing like 120, 130. And it doesn't help with the whole two-wheeling factor. And it goes a long way on two wheels, so yeah. We go from pretty small vehicles to the biggest vehicle arguably in this game, a semi-truck. I was very scared about that bridge, but we just barely make it under. We barely make it under that bridge with the semi-truck. I'm always terrified about driving the truck around just to see if it can go underneath these bridges or not. And it can, in a tight fit, but it can. And this racing truck got the fastest time out of all the cars so far. With a 108.922. It was 0.022 seconds off of the Cadillac. This thing is insane how fast this truck is around a racetrack. It is like a sensible race vehicle. It's probably the most sensible crazy vehicle you will ever get in this game. 12,000 pounds, 1,000 horsepower, the biggest wing you will ever see in your life. There's really nothing better than this truck. And I'm just amazed at how well it drives, too. It's a very easy car to drive. I mean, it's impossible to drive from the exterior. You have to go interior to view. But, yeah, a 108.922 is a very impressive time from the racing truck. Now, this is the VW Bus with 800 horsepower. And when I was driving this in my Ridiculous Cargo series, I could make it go 190 miles an hour. And 190 miles an hour, turning a corner, it will, even a slight kink in a straight, it will roll over. Going around the VIR track, it almost rolled over a few times. In fact, I think it may have rolled over once. This track, it didn't roll over until I made it roll over, because it was the final lap that was already going like 5 seconds slower, and I decided to see if I could roll it. It wasn't that hard. But yeah, this vehicle had another struggle with these sharp sections here. It lost so much time there. This van lost so much time there. And it did a 109.589, so it was a pretty good car. Not as good as the truck, but still pretty good, all things considered. And yeah, pretty fast, and really fast, actually. The fastest vehicle here, surprisingly. It didn't really like to go up on two wheels, though. It didn't really like to do that. So, yeah, 109.589 for the Volkswagen bus. It really had a tendency to go up on two wheels. Now, this is by far the most spectacular of the runs. The front-flipping Fiesta. It was not very fast. You know, 121, and I forgot the rest of it, because I forgot to write it down before I started recording this. It was not very fast. And I was thinking, oh, well, it's not really doing its thing. It had a little bit of an endo, but it's not that bad. So I think I can go flat out. I think I can brake it full, because that was full braking, that little endo bit. And I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. How hard can it be to stop this thing? Because I completely forgot how to drive this car. And then I kind of roll it a lot. Like, a lot. And then my wheels are wiggling, and the car didn't want to right itself. And eventually it rights itself, but it didn't want to right itself immediately. And it did also struggle with understeer, considering it was front, because it was still front wheel drive. And it was also, so it had a lot of wheel spin in the front wheels. And I'm like, so it was rather difficult driving this vehicle. I will be honest. So yeah, it's not a very good vehicle to drive. Especially coming down to this very long straightaway where you're going 130 miles an hour. You're going faster than the Cadillac. And you aren't stopping it. As you go right over. I mean, I do an impressive front flip. I do a perfect front flip. But yeah, that's not the way you stop, really. And then, I was going for this corner up here, and I was only going 60 miles an hour, 65, 60, 70 miles an hour, 67 miles an hour. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm going slow enough. Nope! Quite a lot of rolls for such a low speed one. That's like 5, that's like 3 or 4. But yeah, 121... not very fast for this vehicle, not very fast. Now it is on to the final results. In last place, we have the Fiat Wheelie car. With a 124.225. In second to last place, the Jelly Lancia Delta with a 123.955. After that is the front-flipping Fiesta as here, with a 121.119. After that, we start getting a little closer. The BMW is set to 300, with a 117.734. Then we have the Volkswagen Bus, with a 109.589. Second place is a bit of a surprise, kind of, the Mercedes-Benz racing truck, a 108.922. However, none of these rather crazy vehicles were able to beat the stock low B-class Cadillac CTS-V from 2011. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of fun to record. It was quite a challenge driving all these vehicles. But yeah. Even over 1,000 horsepower trucks, 800 horsepower Mercedes-Benz, and Fiesta's a 600 horsepower going to the front wheels, could not beat a 500 horsepower Cadillac. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting, but the easiest silly vehicle to drive is the semi-truck. Or the VW bus, depending on your opinion, because it's very difficult to see in a racing truck. You can't drive it with it very well. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's it for this episode of Forza Motorsports. I'll be back with more.